to Caribbean House Talk. Here on Caribbean House Talk, we cover the topics from funny to curious to tearfully serious. Today we have joining us all the way from, Florida.
Yeah.
It's Z Isles. So, Z, welcome and glad you're here. Usually we see you on the small screen, so now we get to see you here in person with us.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Z started with us on the very early show. She would do the new segments, and we'd rob her for weekends. She'd have to bleach out and wait for us to do one show, and then she'd wait for us to do one show. She did her part, then she had to wait for the other show, and you're really a good sport about it. And also, you were instrumental in setting up things like our Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, and our flyer, the cultural exchange flyer, and things like that. So, welcome. We finally got to meet you in person and to have you in the studio with us today.
Thanks for having me, ladies.
You're welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, now we have some things that maybe I don't know. Maybe we have to get some earplugs and plug her ears because it might be a little bit too. And her parents are in the audience, so we are probably going to blush. Let me say this: that we're about to do our spicy dish segment. We usually start off with spicy dish, and the topics on spicy dish, they're not usually appropriate for small children or young audiences. So if you have small children or young children, you may want to have them leave the room or watch the show at a time when they're not around, because most of our shows will be on demand. So just want to put that out. All right.
So we're going to start out with our spicy dish. And since we have Z here with us, we're going to let you start first.
All right.
I have, is self-fornicating ever a good idea?
Self-fornicating. Grown people talk. Self-fornicating. Self-fornicating. Do it yourself.
Oh, okay.
Fornicating.
We let you start.
Yes, go ahead.
So, I do, even though one of the things on this show, we discuss, I would say, a lot of topics that are kind of spicy or what have you, but we try to be tasteful. We don't believe in vulgarity. So when we say self-fornicating, what we mean, you're doing it yourself. You're pleasing yourself. Okay. So is self-fornicating ever a good idea?
I have no idea.
You have never? You lucky woman. What about you, Mafi?
I have. Yes.
So do you think there's a time when it's appropriate for it? Or is it part of, like some people do it as a part of enhancing their whole sex life. And some people do it when they're in between relationships. Yeah, or maybe they're away from their love, their honey,
That's my case. I mean, between relationships and giving, I have learned that my body to me has a lot of value. And I just don't want to go and sleep with someone just to sleep with someone and get that need that I have of, out of my body. And working out and doing other things for me helps. The dancing also, I dance a lot, but sometimes I have to take care of myself. And I have learned to do that, and I don't think that we should be ashamed. We are pleasing ourselves. We know ourselves very
I have
well.
no shame to my game, honey. Okay? I have self-fornicated many a times, because sometimes you're in between relationship and you don't want to be a slave to relationship just so you can have that, And I'm not saying that you should make it be traded in for this. Yeah. It's not a replacement, but it's certainly an option. Yeah. And you close your door and nobody have to know your business. And you know what? It works because I think you don't feel this need to rush out there and get into something for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? So you guys know me. I tell it like it is. Yes. I have self-fornicated.
So do you scream?
And I like it. No. And I don't use, you know what? And I've never used toys.
I thought it was a toy.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't. I use the tools that God gave me.
Okay.
Okay, tools that God gave me. So I have, and it's absolutely
gorgeous.
I absolutely, like I said, it's not a replacement. I think it's a good it put me in a good place where I'm like, I'm not feeling desperate to do something like
Yeah.
I have to
You know.
say and admit it that I learned from you.
I did.
You know, you kept talking about it,
Yeah.
and I said, why not utilize this tool while I wait for the right person?
Exactly. You're not desperate.
Mhm.
Okay, now I know your parents are in the audience, so I don't know if we should skip around you with this
Skip
one.
around.
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You lucky woman.
No, I never did.
You notice the three that been happily married, like they don't. But me and Mafi, we're in a different place, and so we're not saying that's a substitute, but we're saying it is an option while you are in between relationship. And I'm frankly speaking, I'm not in a rush for it. You know what I mean? To just run into a relationship. So
I have a friend that
men do it all the time.
Yeah, and he said if he knew now what he know then what he know now, he would have done it because he think that he had to have that thing to be who he feel he should be, and it broke him. It like really ruined him because he keep making kids, and now it's like too much
He
for
found
him
out
to
too late.
handle. And he said if he knew he could have done that, he would have done that. So, but me no.
Okay. Now I have a feeling if she did, she wouldn't say.
Me?
Um.
Oh no, you know I'll tell
Yeah.
him. No.
then Mr. 3 times a week might be upset. Wait a minute. Isn't that enough?
You guys are terrible.
All right, so I'll pick out the next spicy dish option. Let us see. What is your most painful memory, and conversely, what is one of your happiest memory?
Oh my
So each
God.
person. Think about it for a minute.
I can tell you mine offhand. My painful memory, I must say, my grandma lived until she was 110, but I never expected her to die.
Oh my God.
You know, it was like she was that person in my life. So I'm here, I would visit her as often as I could. And I just couldn't, when she died, I just couldn't understand it. Where God had to take her at 110, you know, because she had all her faculties. You could talk with her. At the time, she was the oldest living person in Jamaica. So, you know, that sort of, we grew up with her, a loving soul, you know, so that was my painful. No, my most, which one is it?
Your most precious or most beautiful memory?
My most beautiful memory. We have a very prestigious organization in the Caribbean, I shouldn't say just in Jamaica, the University of the West Indies. And they have these very prestigious award dinner dance each year in the city, $500 a person. Well, of course, I ended up there as a press person. So I got in for free. And who I sat next to was Harry Belafonte, Colin Powell, and
Wow.
and I have to look at the other name if you don't mind. Sidney Poitier.
Wow.
So you know that was like, and
Star power. All in one
and
place.
our entertainer was Lord Kitchener.
Wow.
And it was so powerful. I sat there. I was tongue-tied. I didn't even know what to ask this man. And Colin Powell and myself had a little bit more because he's Jamaican, you know, half Jamaican or whatever. And Harry Belafonte, he's a fun guy. So, you know, we Sidney Poitier is very, you know, very, you know, poised
Proper.
and
Yes.
proper. And I mean, just to ask him a question, I just didn't even know what to ask the man, but he was there. So anyway, the part that really got me was when we got the music going, and they decided to dance with me. Sidney Poitier sat down, but Harry Belafonte and Colin Powell. You know, Colin Powell can't even move a foot.
He danced.
Oh my God.
He danced.
So it was like Harry Belafonte knew how to get down, and we were just it was such fun.
Mr. Calypso.
I didn't want the night to end. And then Lord Kitchener decided to drop his mic and join us on the dance floor. So we were all getting down there and carrying on. I was ashamed of myself in a gown, trying to get down on the floor and do just what Harry Belafonte was doing. But that was my most precious moment. And this was about 6 years ago.
Okay.
That happened. So.
What about your mouth? Your most painful memory and your most beautiful memory?
My most painful memory was when my father died. Yes, he was truly my hero. And
how old were you?
I was only 15
wow.
when he died, and he was my world. My father was really someone that I looked up to, that I respected, that led a good life. And it was very painful when he left me. And that's one of the reasons why I came to the United States, because he died. And I don't know about a happy memory. It's hard for me to distinguish one, because I think that I'm a pretty happy person. So whatever comes to me, I really appreciate what God has given me. So I cannot pinpoint one. I'm very content and happy with what I have.
Okay, you don't let things get you down, even when they're not. Even if you're a little disappointed.
No, I
you don't let it get you down.
I know, because
what about you,
it's going to
Ziani?
change.
What's some of your most painful memory and some of your most precious memories? You're so young. I don't know how much painful memory.
As far as painful, well, not really painful, but sad, was when I was going to a counselor for middle school, I believe, or high school, and trying to find out what you want to major in. And I was really into, I wanted to get into more arts or dance or something, and they're like, no, you should go more into something that's cut out and real, like accounting or become a lawyer or something. So I, took that advice, not, really taking on what it was. They were literally, pretty much trying to shut down and discourage me. And to me, that was a little bit, it hurt me a lot.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I didn't really take it on. I tried to still go about that way, take the advice, and then try to incorporate what I still think is a part of me along with what I wanted to major in. So I took minor classes as far as arts, dance, and music, and things along those lines. As far as my happiest moment, the happiest, I'm not.
You can think of one right now?
No, I have. To me, I feel like I have a lot of happy memories. So I would say, out of those, the best times for me was when me and my family would go on family vacation, because everyone's running around and everyone's working and things like that. So when we have our family vacation, it's back to how we were when I was little. We were having fun. It was carefree, things along those lines.
What about you, Alma?
Well, the only one that I would really say that bothered me, I'm the 8th of 8 children, and my siblings are all older than I am, much older, and I grew up like an only child. And on top of that, I don't know my father. He died when I was a month or so old. And my mother became this workaholic, and she was always working, and it's like I raised myself. So I think I missed out on a lot of stuff, and when I really think, but now that I have kids, and I've seen how much I've missed out on, it really kind of I'm not bothered, I'm just a little sad that happened, but I make up for it in my own way. One of my best, happiest moments is when I had my son. I couldn't believe that I make a child to say.
Did you have difficulties?
No, but I stayed long to do that. I didn't have them when I was younger. I was almost late 20s into my early 30s. By 30, I had them both.
Okay.
But the first one, I couldn't believe that I have something for myself that is breathing and have eyes and ears and I did this. This is mine.
So it became like a possessive kind of thing for me, that this is mine, my own, yeah. And I can't explain the feeling, honestly to God. It's just like I was out of this world with happiness that I have this little thing here that's mine.
And that little
And
thing
that's it.
is so big.
Yeah, little thing now, right? Little thing now comes so big 25 years ago.
So what about you?
I think also it's kind of hard to distinguish one thing. I think death of close relatives. I've had quite a few that affects me the most. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters. I think out of all, probably my mom the most. My sister too, because it was because of she passed in her sleep young. But my mom, she lived with me. We took care of her, my husband and I, the kids, and so it's still hard, even though it's 11 years. It's still very hard because I see her lots of times. She's in a wheelchair. I'll see her go by my room, by the door or something still triggers it. So and I still haven't let go like a lot of her things. So I it's probably the one that affected me the most.
When you say you see her go by, you mean you just imagine her go by. You don't mean you actually see like a.
I'm not saying anything about ghosts or anything.
Okay.
But I can
Envision
see her
it,
because she was there. Mm-hmm. So I may see, in my mind, my head, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you hear things. Yeah, it's just that you feel the presence.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some of your most precious memories?
I don't know. I have a lot, I guess. Again, like she said, I think most of us with children, we feel the same way, about our children, especially the first. I was when my brothers and sisters were about 7 years older, and they all had girls. And so I was still a kid when they had their kids. And I was like, I take them as my own. And they would always say, when they get mad, they'd be like, that's my daughter. Have some of your own. So I was so happy when I had my own, so that was a real precious memory. But also for me, my birthday, when I celebrated a birthday a few years ago, a big birthday, and it was just very special because I had never had a birthday party before. And I told everybody, my sister and I, we always shared. She was a day after me, and we shared something in the house. But that was the first time I actually had a birthday party, and it was my own party, and everybody was there. So yeah, a grown woman, I was just really excited.
Okay. You think of anything since we went to the other two? Anything but a good thing? Because you have so much. You see, she hasn't gone through that much in life yet, probably. So she everything is good, probably. Anything you think about, like school? You don't have kids yet, but anything? No, wait, she did the good part.
Life is good. That's
Yeah,
good.
family vacation.
Yeah, she said it.
But you don't have the
Family
painful memory.
vacations.
You said with the teacher. Okay, she did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm the one who's off track. Okay, so for me, I think the most I think I have two painful memories. One was the death of my dad, but he was sick for about 7 or 8 months. So it wasn't like a sudden thing. And the other one was when my daughter was hit by a car when she was 7 years old, and I still could see her. I hear her say, "Mommy," because I'm screaming, and her leg. Ooh, I don't talk about that. Her leg looked like half the length that it normally was because they broke it and pushed it. And so I didn't realize how much I was scaring her. And I hear her say, "Mommy, am I going to die?" Oh God. She said, "Mommy, am I going to die?" And that for me was a really, really painful thing. Really painful one. Because she was my only child at the time. And I thought that, I told her, no, you're not going to die, but I was worried, And then I went in the hospital and there was a mother there, and she had one child as well, a little boy. And he was in a coma. There was a priest called in because he wasn't going to make it. He was brain dead. And they had sent a lady, a priest. She was a lady, a minister, came and talked to me, and she told me, she said, I want you to do something for me. She said, see that little boy? That's his mother's only child, and he's brain dead. They're about to pull the plug. She said, I want you to go over there and look. And that kind of put in some perspective for me. That I was actually lucky, you know. As far as good, I think one is when I got my master's. Because it took me a while with work and family to really get to that point. When I finally completed it, it was like, whew, wonderful feeling. But I think my most precious memory is when I gave birth to my son. Now you might say, okay, but you had children before, why not my daughter? My daughter, I was young. I didn't have any reason to believe I wouldn't be able to have a child. I was a young woman. I had her at 25. And my son, I was almost 45. And I always wanted a little boy, and I got to the point where I thought, that's not going to be a reality at this point. So to be able to have him, and then the challenges I mentioned in another show, where he was premature and all of that stuff. So when he got to that place where he was home and he's doing well, he's been back for his checkup, they're very happy with how he's doing. That to me is one of my most treasured memory. All right, we're gonna pick our next spicy dish item. Pull it over here to the side of the table.
Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, we already went through that one. Should cars be sexualized by color or size?
Okay. You know how you hear people say, like the other day I bought my car, which is a black car. And somebody said, why you buy a black car? You're a woman. Or they'll say, I had a Pathfinder, a red Pathfinder before this car. Why you buy that? That's a man car. Do you think that car should be sexualized? Like, you see people, for instance, I like the Audi Q7. Because I'm a big girl and I kind of like big cars. I like boyish looking cars, if you will. Here I am sexualizing them. But there's some people who say, why not get the Q5? It's a neat, nice little car out of Infinity. The 7, I would take the 7. For me, that would be a 7. Most people don't want the 5, the small, nice, cute little one. And certain colors, like black, is supposed to be a manly type of color. Do you guys care what color or what size your car is?
Yes.
Okay.
You guys remember another show with her car had a name? She had a name.
I remember this.
Bertha is out there, but
But
but I feel glamorous when I drive certain cars because I'm a sporty type, and I always had cars with the top off or little two-seaters, things like that. So, and red, first time red was my favorite, but now I prefer more subtle color, like gray, that light gray. But I think it should be sexualized. I love that.
Sexualization of your car.
Would you say that goes with your personality?
It does.
Okay.
Because she's a very girly girl,
I am that person. I number one, I love to be different, of course, and I can't say I crave a Mercedes and all that, but there are certain, little cars that I like. I drive a Volkswagen Beetle, and I feel so great in that car. When I sit in there. I know I have to get rid of it, but it's my car. We talk to each other, in different ways. So it should be sexual.
Okay, so it should be sexual. What about your mountain?
No, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You just want a car to get you where you're going.
It has to be economical and safe for me and my son. It doesn't really matter. But I do love the color red. So.
What about you, Z?
No, I don't think so. I know people that do, or for example, like a lot of guys who, they modify their cars, and if a girl wants to modify her car, then she's being more boyish, or that's a boy thing. but I really don't have a preference. If it's a small car or a big car, I'm not saying, oh, that's a girly car, that's a guy car. I just think it's a car.
Okay.
But I don't have a preference.
You
I
don't
don't
have a
think
preference.
it should be sexualized. I don't think it makes a difference.
What about you, Emma?
No, I don't think it should. 'Cause I
Caroline?
don't drive in anything that I can drive.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me.
You mean I'm the only odd one
Car.
here?
No, I don't think
No,
that's
no,
odd.
I
I think
she's odd.
you know that it's okay. The color of a car may make you feel good. I mean, there are certain colors just because they're colors I just don't like. I happen to like red, which is just one of my favorite colors. You know, but I don't think it has anything to do with sexualizing a car. It's just what I
Well,
like.
I don't care about the color, but the size of the car. First of all, I like SUVs. I don't like cars. Like you're not gonna catch me climbing down in a car. Like if I have to move my daughter's car, it feels so odd getting down in this car. I like something I gotta climb up in. I like to be able to get in a big car. I'm a big personality, big
Yeah.
type of person. So I can't see myself in a little car. That's just me.
Yeah.
I don't care for the color, about the color, but I have to get a big car. I need boy cars, if you will. I like boy cars. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to get into a Dear Health Team section of the show, and we're going to talk about, among other things, refinancing, coping with infertility, and we'll be right back. I'm Trish,
I'm a mountain. I'm Irma.
And I'm Caroline.
and we are the Caribbean House Talk. Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk. Today, in our Dear Help Team section, we're going to be discussing refinancing as well as coping with infertility, both secondary and primary infertility. So let's take refinancing first. Ms. Harrison, we're going to weigh in on your expertise in this area.
Well, I don't have a lot of expertise, but I can just give you a little information about the reason why people can do refinancing. You should consider refinancing if you think that it will end up being a better deal in the long term. You know, there's a reason why some people refinance. It includes reducing the term of a longer mortgage and switching between fixed rate and an adjustable rate. That's the main reason.
What about your interest rates?
Yes, the interest rate.
Let's say you have a high interest rate and it fell.
You can lower your interest rate
Mhm.
because that can have a profound effect on your monthly payments.
Mhm.
You know, potentially saving you hundreds of dollars. Some people obtain money for large purchases, and it reduces your credit card debt sometimes. They refinance for the purpose of taking equity out, improve the condition of homes, such as maybe increases the value because you're going to do something like you did to your home, and it increases the value eventually. Some people, from being a real estate agent, that's not one of my expertise, refinancing. But there are some people who are not supposed to do refinancing because they refinance for just nothing, to buy the best car, on the market, or to put equipment in the house like exercise equipment,
Ooh.
You know what I mean? You don't need
Yeah.
to spend your money like that, or to take a big trip, a cruise, whatever.
Oh boy.
And
you're
then you
taking
come back with a debt.
right, and you're taking equity out. You probably
Yeah,
depending
yeah.
on how
So if you're going to take equity out, you use it for something that is special, which is to take care of your house, so you get a better value. You know. Then it says here, paying off an existing loan with the proceeds from a new loan, usually of the same size and using the same as collateral. So you're using your own equity as collateral really. In order to decide whether it is worthwhile, the saving in interest must be weighed against the fees associated with refinancing, because the fees are very high. You know, you have
the closing fees.
Closing fees can be very high, and that's put on your back end anyway. So you have to really consider that.
Do you have to pay those closing fees up front, or do they wrap it back into the house?
They wrap it back into, you know, at the closing, they wrap everything back, but it's enormous sometimes, depending on who you go to.
Is that what they say, like points? Like when they say the points?
Yeah, they
points
talk
are
about,
part
I
of-
don't have that
Right,
but yeah, they talk about the points. And you know, if I really brought that here, it would have been a very, because it's big.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, you know, to the what you go through when you're going to refinance. You have to appraise the home, and then the lender determines how much of a percentage of the appraisal they are willing to loan. That's how it works. The balance owed is subtracted. After that money is used to pay off the original mortgage, the remaining balance is loaned to the homeowner. So, I mean, refinance is something that you really have to think about,
Right.
and the reason why you're doing it, what is important.
So there are times when it's a good idea, but you need to make sure you have the right ducks in order in the right places. In other words, you don't want to just go refinance for frivolous stuff. You want to do it for, like you said, either to reduce the term of the loan, maybe low
Take out
interest
a little
rate.
equity for the important thing.
Right,
You know?
low interest rate, so that brings the payment
Right,
down.
that is the most important one. Or if you have really bad credit card debt, that can help if you're not going to go back into the debt.
Right.
So, you know, really have to think about refinancing. You know, many times I think about, I could use some extra money. But you have to sit down and think about it. No, I don't want to do that. Just for the fun of it.
Plus, if you're not financing to reduce the term of it, a lot of people, they expand it. Because now you might have been at 20 years left on your mortgage, now you're going back up to 30 years.
Because to me, refinance is more like second mortgage. You know what I mean? It's like taking out a second mortgage, because you have this big thing at the back end to pay. And so
it is similar, because I always thought a second mortgage was like when the old one is in place and you're going to take a second one.
Second mortgage, yeah.
Right, but refinancing, you're like redoing the whole loan.
Right.
But you're saying the money extra money that you're going to be paying, it goes on the back of it.
So the back end, you know. So,
I think you also have to consider how long you plan to stay in the house.
yeah,
Because if you if you have plans of maybe going back to your country and you have a mortgage and then you refinance to what you mentioned, like from 20 to 30, and you only plan to stay there for 15, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but that too is, if you take, let's say you took the mortgage out to do something to better the value of your house, that can be good, because at least when you sell the house, you know, you can get a little more money for, you know, the appearance.
But it depends on the
Yes.
updates that
Well,
you
that's
do,
true,
because some
too.
of them are not marketable,
Well, that's
and you're
true,
not
too.
going to get the return.
Yeah.
So
So you really have to look
don't
at
be
it.
frivolous about it. Don't
No,
do it for
don't
the
be
wrong
frivolous.
reasons.
No,
Yeah.
no.
You want to make sure you're doing it for the right reason and keeping those things in mind. We're going to have on one of our other shows, Caribbean News Blast, we're going to have a refinancing expert who is going to come on and break down even with the points and what is point.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that show, and we'll probably announce when that's coming on
Yeah.
in the near future. So stay tuned. But that's some important information there in terms
Yeah.
of, because a lot of times people do it for the wrong reasons.
Wrong
And there are
reasons.
good times when you should do it. There are times when it could be helpful. But you do it for the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
not a good thing. All right. Next topic that we're going to talk about, ladies, is coping with infertility. Not necessarily you, but if you might know someone who have, and it could be secondary infertility. I know for me, I had my son at a late age, so I had a child, a healthy pregnancy. With my daughter, I was young, but I had developed fibroids, which is something that plagues a lot of women of color. And these are non-cancerous tumors that are in the uterus. And so after I developed them and it became problematic, I had them removed through what's called a myomectomy. And later on, the removal of those fibroids create scarring in the uterus. So here I was at 44 trying to get pregnant. 43 I started, and it happened when I was about 44 plus. And I'm having a problem, secondary infertility. And if you're running into something like that, the first thing I did was I went to my gynecologist, and then he recommended me to a fertility specialist to weigh out my options. And I was really, really lucky because at my age, I think my ex-husband had more faith than I did. I was trying because he didn't have children, but in my heart I was thinking, I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm kind of old for this. So my fertility specialist, what they did was they put me on a dosage of fertility pills, fertility medicine. And I seriously believe that my son was one of four children. Because I had like miscarriage, started bleeding 4 times. And then after that, this one remained, and I never had another problem. He was a healthy one. So I know the pain of that, and people suffering with that out there. I think one of the things they might want to do is, before you do anything, go to your gynecologist. This is my recommendation, and let them recommend to your specialist who could look at your options. They said one of the best predictor of how old you can have healthy pregnancy is your mother. Believe it or not medical science. The best way to tell or gauge if a woman might have a problem at a later age having a child is if my mother had children well into her 40s, and at 42 or something like that, she had her tubes tied. Because my father's cousin was the doctor, and he basically told her, I'm not going to let you up because the next time I'm going to see is when you're pregnant again until one of these kids kill you, and you got a whole bunch of them at home. So he literally took her right down and just tied her tubes at that point. So at 42, she had to have her tubes tied. She's a very fertile woman. And for me, what they told me was that, I think it was FSH something level. There was levels of hormones that could tell how fertile you are. Mine was high, but my uterus was so scarred that there was no healthy place for egg to implant itself. So the egg would travel down and there's no place to implant itself. It passes out. So eventually, they had to do 2 corrective surgery to correct that scarring. And that meant that for me to get pregnant, I had to do it like right after. Because now you want it when it's nice and pink and healthy. You don't want it to scar up again. And I was thankfully was able to have, so that's why I said giving birth to him was one of the most pleasurable things for me, because I didn't think it was even possible. I think for men, because women are the only one that suffer with this, and a lot of men, they love to point their fingers thinking it's a woman, and then the woman may break up with them, and all of a sudden she gets pregnant like that. But in my case, I was not young. But also one of the things I found out with researching different things and what might be causing some, retarding the whole process, was, believe it or not, they say men who wear briefs would have a lower sperm count. It's not too hard to believe, because it's a tighter fitting thing, and it's kind of, your circulation is probably could be impeded a little bit. So they said if you wear a lot of briefs and you're trying to get some woman pregnant, not that it wouldn't happen, especially if you're young and healthy, but if you're having problems, that might be one of the things you want to not have the brief things. Might want to use some boxes.
I have
Let it go.
the secondary problem too, like you, but not as. I remember I had one kid, and trying to, to have another one to give him some
Your little brother or sister.
little brother sister. And it took 10 years to have that. And I remember every Saturday morning we would take the sperm, hot sperm, and fly down to Columbia Presbyterian
Oh,
so the
yeah.
doctor could insert it,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing happened. And that, it was just like something you're doing to try.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize that I had hypothyroidism.
So that
All
could
these
contribute.
years,
Yeah.
they never knew that they should check that.
Mhm.
And finally, the doctor said to me, "I'm not doing this anymore. You just have to relax." Went away on a vacation. I came back and I was pregnant.
Yes.
So sometimes relaxation, sort of, it's like in the head. It helps you. So that's how comes my kids are 10 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember, but I was I was going to a hospital right out here, and I used to have my husband, and he was a funny person in the sense that they wanted him to do it right in the office, and he said no. I don't know who have any cameras set up around here, because they give the man a dirty magazine and he'll go do his thing. So he said no. So he came home, and he would ejaculate, and then it would go into a tube.
Yeah.
And I would put it under my armpits or in my bra, because you have to keep it warm.
Yes.
And run to the hospital to take
Oh,
it so
yeah.
they could
Oh,
clean
yeah.
it and do what they have to do.
oh yeah.
And then they will put something in there that will make it because
It had to be
my
hot.
son was true insemination, not artificial insemination. That's when artificial is when you use somebody else's sperm. I use my husband's sperm. So I would have to, because one of the problems that sometimes could plague couples too, the man may have a lot of sperm, but if they are not good swimmers, the mobility of the sperm, the swimming up the sperm, that could cause a problem as well. So a lot of guys will say, "Well, my sperm count is good, but are your swimmers good?" So I would have to take it to the sperm bank, to my doctor, not the sperm bank. Lord. I would have to take it to the doctor. They have a lab there, and they would clean it, and then they would have to put. Well, I shouldn't say had to, because I was so lucky. The first time they did that, it worked, and they said the average passes 3 or more times. I'm so blessed, I'm telling you. So I took it, and well, I did it twice. You have to monitor when you're ovulating. So I called him up and said, "Come in." And he gave me he went with me that time, and he did it at home, but he drove me there. And then the next time they said, "Come back in, because the test we took after you, we think you're ovulating even more today." So he had exams. So I said, "Just give it to me." So he gave it to me. I put it under my armpits and drive the car. And we got there, and then the doctor said, "Look at that. Is that your signature?" I said yes. And the day before, they had said the same thing. They asked him, "Is that your signature? Is that her signature?" Because the doctor looked at me and she said, "Because if we put the wrong thing up there, it's too late." Okay? So we said yes. And then they said, "What we're going to do, we're going to clean it to get rid of all the abnormal sperm. The head too big, the head too small, the tail too long. They get rid of it.
Okay.
There's a process, yeah.
Wow.
And then
Yes.
they put something in it to make it angry, like they make it hyper. So now the sperm is aggressive and it's trying to grab anything it gets. So they have to treat it with the solution, and it makes the sperm really aggressive. And so he swim out. And I tell people to this day, I think I know the minute that spark of light happened inside of me, and it didn't happen the first day. It happened that second day. I was lying down, and it was just something that went over my body, and I said, "Oh my God, I just had this kind of feeling, this kind of like a fusing or something. There's something, because when you're in my situation where you're having a problem, you're in tune with everything." And so I went on vacation into Tobago, and I was just sleeping and eating and sleeping and eating. And my sister-in-law said to me, "I'm going to take you to a pool where even rich Americans come and they swim there to get pregnant." But I started eating and sleeping, and she said, "I'm going to take you, but I don't think I need to take you." And I came back. I didn't even quite get what she was trying to say. I came back and I went, and they were going to give me some shots to ripen things up, because they didn't think that anything would happen. So I told the lady at the place, I said, I just came from vacation. And they chat with you. You build a little relationship as you're going through this stuff. And I said, I just was so tired of sleeping all the time. And she went on her own and did a pregnancy test. Because she said, after you left, I said, I think you should test that lady's blood. So they called me. I'm sitting there. Now, you know, when you're having difficulty, you want to be all excited. I remember this man don't have no kid. So I said, when I find out I'm pregnant, I'm going to write on a piece of paper, put it under his pillow, because he never gets up without making up his bed. And I'm going to surprise him. Well, of course, they call, and she goes, no, I didn't go there for a pregnancy test. I wanted to get the injection thing, this prescription for the injection, and it tested my blood, and it still didn't dawn on me that eating and sleeping thing, what was going on. So all of a sudden they call me and say, Tricia, congratulations, you're pregnant. I said, what? What did you say? She said, you're pregnant. I said, oh my God. And I started, oh, I'm pregnant, oh. So of course the man knew right there. And that's what happened to me. But it's a painful thing if you're somebody. I was a lucky candidate at that age to have gotten pregnant the first time. But it still wasn't easy, and I had to do the surgeries. I had to take some fertility shots. But the first time they actually injected me with a sperm, it took, you know? So, ugh. If you're having those issues, again, go to your gynecologist and let them work with you and get you a specialist of some sort. But don't try to do it on your own. But I think you said something which is true. I think the biggest thing is to just relax. Just relax. Because a lot of times that stress is what's hindering you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have issues with that?
No.
Okay, never had issue with that?
No.
Okay. And you never had issue with that? Well, you're not there yet. We don't want no baby sweet. Okay.
All
right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about news items of the day. So we'll be right back. I'm Trish.
I'm Mountain. I'm Irma.
And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Talk. So welcome back to Caribbean House Talk in our news item section of the show. So on the table today, we're going to talk about recent things in, we're taping this in, what's today, June? Okay, June, okay. We're actually taping this on Father's Day.
June 2017.
Yeah, 2017, and we're actually doing this on Father's Day. So we're talking during the break about the President, Trump, and what's going on in terms of the investigations that are going on with the special counsel and all of that. What's anybody's take on any of this? Do you think he'd be impeached down the road?
I think so. There's enough evidence there to start. My only problem is that the Congress, they're all Republicans. The
And the
House is all Republicans. So, and Trump has very diverse lawyers. So those are my, problems. But I think he'll be impeached.
Well,
but
mm-hmm.
if he's impeached, do we like Pence?
I was just about to tell you that.
Sometimes
I don't even know him.
Just to stick with what.
Yeah, like this one is a loudmouth. Is a little.
I'm not sure if Pence is any.
I don't know Pence. I don't know.
So that bothers me.
I heard
You might run from
conservatives,
so you run from.
You might run from the frying pan into the fire.
Into the fire.
Okay.
So that's something to really
think about.
Mm-hmm. But
And I don't know how great his lawyers are, because he's gotten some pickle that they couldn't take him out of, like the whole university thing. You had to pay that. So, I don't think they're so invincible and so big and bad. And what we're dealing with here is something regarding the federal government. This isn't just some private issue.
And let's go to the shooting this past week when they shot one of the Republicans.
Yeah, that was sad.
Well, a Republican, I was reading last night on the internet, a Republican stood up and said Obama should be responsible for all this because he created the problem with with the Senate and the Congress. And
Which is
so
ridiculous.
any way to blame Obama or bring him into all of this in a negative light, I have a problem with all of that. So
Well, the thing is, they don't want to take responsibility for the things that they're doing and the negative things that they're doing, and it's a real problem. To always keep saying, well, Obama and Hillary Clinton, take responsibility for your actions and what you're doing, you know, and that's, I think, is what's angering people. You have a lot of angry people, you have a lot of crazy people, and you know, I don't think they're helping to make it better. You know?
I think that was sad though, because that could have been easily anybody that this guy did that to, and I hope that's a lesson to people that that's not a way to cope with stuff. You know, I mean, yeah, you know, a lot of us don't like what we see going on, but to go try to just take a turkey shoot at people like that, regardless whether they're Republican or Democrat, that was crazy. And he did die, right? The guy who did the
well,
shooting.
thank God he did die. You know, because
I almost hate when they die because now you don't even get to pay. You know?
yeah,
But
but
what
we are
sense
paying
would that
for him
make,
there.
What sense would that make? Because the damage is done.
Mm-hmm.
So by him paying doesn't fix anything.
And then we got to keep him in prison fairly.
Yeah, so it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
And-
before we close, we just want to wish all the
fathers a happy Father's
a
Day.
happy Father's
Day.
Day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and the mothers a happy Father's Day too.
Mm-hmm. Who are doing it the fathers well.
Both ways.
But I want to say this though. I was touching on something on Facebook where a number of us had some discussion where there were some mothers who had a problem with fathers being celebrated. Not in general, but feeling. Apparently, these are people who have some issues with maybe men that are not doing what they should be doing. And this is my advice to you. If you have children where the fathers are not stepping up, you still don't want to live in that kind of negative light, because believe me, these young people are smart. They'll come to pick up for themselves if a father's not doing. But you don't want to have a young boy or girl be bitter because you're bashing their dad all the time. I think we covered something like this on a previous show. Mm-hmm. You know, it's Father's Day. Even if they're not doing the greatest job and they got a dad, they still should call their dad or get him a card or something. You know, if you have a father who's just not totally around, that's a whole different kettle of corn. But if you have a dad who is not perfect, he's in your life, he's just not necessarily, the best father, you still want to thank him for giving life to you. You still want to give him a card. I think he deserved that. Maybe you don't come around as much. Maybe you don't pay as much child support. But I think mothers, we don't want to make that whole child support and this other thing kind of interfere.
Yeah, negate things.
With the father-child relationship.
Yeah.
So let's wish all the dads
happy
Father's
Father's
Day.
Father's Day.
If you're lucky to have your dad alive today, go out and celebrate him wherever he is. Take him out. Because I would give anything to have mine with me, and he's no longer with me.
Telling you.
So let me see. Most of us, and this except for Z, do not have our dads with us. You know, well, none of us here have our dads except for Z. So tell us what dad means for you. And he's in the audience, so he's listening.
My dad means everything to me. Everything. He taught me. He showed me and my brother Omari like how when computers weren't really popular in the 90s, he would show us how to work computers before we had computers in our classrooms. He'd take us to computer shows at late night. When he comes home after work, even though he was tired, we would have like dance battles. We'd be dancing all night and things like that. And even giving me a better sense of who I am and more pride as far as being Vincentian American, and then teaching me more about Layou in St. Vincent,
which is the town he's from in St. Vincent.
Yes, and giving me more highlight of what life was like. What the technological advances were, how people dressed, what the slangs were, things like that. So it gave me more of a full. A better perception on his community and where he's from, even though growing up without much, and he remained humble, so it taught me to respect others no matter what. And I appreciate him for that. So I want to shout out my dad. Happy Father's Day.
Something special today?
Probably take them out to eat or hang with some other family.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we're visiting right now, but I just want to shout them out.
Well, we're glad that you had a chance to come in with us. You and Caroline kind of share something because you're Vincentian American, she's Barbadian American, and so one of the things we like having on the show is that she's very much American, but she's also very much Caribbean in her culture. So you both share that in common. And we certainly like having you with us because, like I said, you were there from the very beginning of QXTV, helping me out, helping us out and getting things rolling and helping us to kind of, hone our branding so we could try to see what works. And we don't do the news and notes section via Skype like we did in the early beginning, only because you have to then set up for that special. You have to have a special screen, and it was getting a little cumbersome. But whenever you're in town and you want to come by, and whether it's just a chat like this or do news and notes, we absolutely would love having you.
Thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
We really enjoy having you today and finally getting to meet you. And next time you're in town, we're going to have a party in QXTV studio.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we hope for that one.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We'll do a party anyway. We're about to have like a kind of formal opening type of party. We need to get something to kind of spice up our achievement, And for you, the viewers, we want to thank you because we couldn't really do this show and have this network without your support, and we really, really appreciate it. So I thank you, ladies, for joining me on yet another edition of Caribbean House Talk, where again we aim to bring you the issues from funny to curious and even tearfully serious. So see you in the next edition of Caribbean House Talk. Bye-bye.
Bye.